open-mindedness is a good route to step into. I think that's one of the routes I stepped into when I started my healing work. You might find that you were assigned probably 2 souls in your living existence and you had 5 abortions. Amadlozi ayafana nabazali bethu phindi. You might be in a situation whereby they'd be like, you know what, as much as we love you, we don't want this particular person for you.
Gogo.
Thokoza.
I'm very well, thank you. I missed you.
I missed you too. It's good to have you back. I hope the BBL is healing.
I'm back because I need advice from you and learning from you.
Okay.
So, Gogo, growing up, I was a very naughty child. I made reckless decisions.
Yeah.
But to overcome those reckless decisions, I had to make other decisions that lead me into a space where I am stigmatized a lot. So, I've had 2 abortions. One when I was a teenager.
Okay.
Another one when I was in my 20s. Now, in our Black communities, man, abortions have such a big stigma. And I would like you to please help me navigate around, the whole abortion thing that I've had.
Okay. Fair enough.
What happens to my child since I've aborted them? Like, where is their soul?
Okay, so one thing we need to understand, first thing is first, is that women, we are gods, right? And when you are born, there are souls that are assigned to your life path or to your destiny. And life happens and we abort, miscarry, whatever the case might be. So what happens is that you abort the physical body, which is the bones, the whatever, the fetus, whatever you want to call it, depending on how far you are with the pregnancy. But now the soul stays with us, or rather within us. And it's important that we understand that, because remember, these souls are assigned to our lives. And it's got nothing to do with your spiritual belief or whatever it is you stand. But some people will say they get stuck in between realms. No, I say they get stuck within us. And it's energy that needs to be renewed, or rather purified or cleansed, so that, because some of these souls actually make their way back. So you find that you might abort today and 2 months later you're pregnant again and you abort again. So it means that this soul has been assigned to your destiny. So now what happens to the souls? They stay within us. But now we need to ground and do a little bit of shadow and healing work with you to actually balance that. So the stigma for me, I think it comes from the lack of understanding what happens in the spirit when these things happen, because one is quick to say that, oh, umbulali, and all of these things, forgetting that there is a situation, there is a decision, there is a circumstance, and just like with every action, there is a
equal but opposite reaction.
Exactly. Thank you.
But what happens with the spiritual consequences? Because it's as if the spiritual consequences are assigned to me being the mother that aborted. What happens to the spiritual consequences with my ex? Does he have spiritual consequences? Do we both have spiritual consequences just because of the abortion that we did?
Okay. Somebody get me a chalkboard because we're about to go into school. All right. So when it comes to, I'll make this example. Your eggs, the eggs that are within you, right? They have been assigned to the babies, or rather the souls assigned to you, right? So now, should it happen that, okay, fine, I had an abortion. Yes, there is a consequence, but I don't like using the word consequence. There just needs to be a redirecting and balancing of energy. Because now, Lomtana Lona, or rather the soul, you send it back, or rather not you per se, you sent it back, but like the situation happened and now the energy stuck with you and does not know what to do with itself. So what happens to the consequences? You might either start feeling sick, having abdominal problems. You might experience a little bit of, frustration or stagnation within your life. There might be a certain pattern that reoccurs itself in your life. There might be a series of, certain traumas that inflict you because of this unbalanced energy that is with your life. It means that this energy was directed to you, but now due to whatever situation, it went back. So in a nutshell, this is how I explain all the time to my clients that come with me. We have a miscarriage, a stillborn, we have an ectopic pregnancy, and we have, what am I missing? Miscarriage, stillborn, ectopic pregnancy, and abortion. And abortion. So a miscarriage is those souls that are like, I was playing one day and I pressed the button of we're going to this earth thing. Okay, we're going, I'm coming, it's my turn. And then along the route, they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot my toiletry bag. And you miscarry. Then we have a stillborn. Those are last minute souls. They're like, I was planning on coming, but it doesn't sit well with me. And then you have the stillborn. And then with the abortion is like, the child is like, mommy, I don't think you're going to be able to do this. Can we try and find a way? Because I can't be born through this way. Can we just find something that can assist? And there's abortion. And then we have an ectopic pregnancy whereby like, you want this. You find a mother so desperate, but because of the emotional and spiritual trauma that they are going through, the soul is like, okay, out of pity, I'm coming. But now when they come, your body's not ready. The energy doesn't sit well in you. And that's where we have an ectopic pregnancy. So with all these types of pregnancy, the main root is that there is a soul. There is energy. There is a transformation or renewal of energy that happens between the mother and the soul. So the consequences is that the energy is not redirected or balanced properly because there are certain rituals we use in order to assist the mother. So remember, the father is a planter of the seed and a mother is the land. So for the plantation to happen, the egg must be receptive, or rather the energy must be in the right place so that the plantation happens. But life happens. You can't fix the planter. And you can't fix the situation around the planting because realistically speaking, people go through things because of their life's experiences. And realistically speaking, if I'm going to say to you, have that kid payday, and I see your situation is a bit unfair, why are we going to glorify a struggling mother who is struggling to raise her own child? Where's the glory in that? Instead, this could have been averted. And I'm not talking about prevention, but I'm talking about someone that finds themselves pregnant, finds themselves in this situation. How do they go about it? So it is stigma that leads people to thinking that what I'm doing is actually not good. Is not right. If anything, I sit down with my clients and I always tell them that if it was meant to be, it is gonna be. I always have cases sometimes I took abortion pills, but the baby's here. Here's my abortion pill. She's here. I'm on contraceptives, but the baby is here. Because if it's meant to happen, that child will come to you no matter what. But because they are souls assigned to your life, they will just stay there in limbo, look at it as a jigsaw puzzle. So now to redirect the puzzle so that the souls stay in order, we need to now redirect the energy and shape the energy. And the consequences, if that knot is Sorted is the mother not being okay and etc. Because remember, the mother is the carrier, but also the father does suffer consequences because there is a part of himself that was deposited into you. And so now when this happens, his consequences might not be the same as yours, but believe it or not, they suffer the consequences. That's why it's important that when an abortion or a miscarriage happens or stillborn happens, we stop the stigma of pointing at the mother instead and look at both parties, because everybody in this scenario needs help. For a child to happen, it takes a male and a female.
So ultimately, the soul agrees to be with the mother, myself, in an appointed time.
It goes back to when we now start talking about the spiritual structure of a female body and the sacredness of a womb. Remember, we're looking at the body as just a physical structure, but when you look at the spiritual structure of a woman, there are departments and places within us that stores energy, you know? So now that a man is not designed like a woman. That is why the energy will always stay with the mother, because in a birthing experience, the mother, in a split second, leaves her body to go fetch the soul of their baby. And then we are both reborn when the baby is born. Yeah.
So why is it important for me to cleanse? I mean, like the one abortion I did when I was in my teens, the other one in my 20s. Why is it so important for me to go through cleansing?
Cleansing, Gogo, is a broad word that I feel like people just loosely throw around, right? Cleansing. One, we need to understand what happened to you. Utolein, is it a stillborn? Is it a miscarriage? Is it an ectopic pregnancy? Is it an abortion? So we help rebalance and redirect the energy. That is why the closest or the safest place you are being taken to is the water, because the water reflects our energies and balances us. So it is a place where we go and shed off this imbalance to rebalance. Because look at a water as a portal, but that's a conversation for another day. But what I want to come back is to the cleansing part. So depending on the type of pregnancy you had, there's a certain ritual or cleansing process that one has to go through so that the energy is rebalanced, because they are reincarnated souls, right? They are old souls. We have babies, we birth babies, we call them old souls. They are new souls. They are undecided souls. There's just a lot that happens when it comes to the spiritual aspect. So just necessarily me throwing the word cleansing is not doing justice enough to the mother. I need to be able to make you understand the implications of the act and the repercussions, and then what we need to do to sort of put this, you know,
like the jigsaw puzzle you described.
Jigsaw puzzle that realignment.
Yes.
It's like a car, and now all of a sudden the tires are no longer in, alignment. We need to realign it, because whether we like it or not, there are mothers who have had multiple abortions but have kids today. So if so much it was a stigma and such a bad thing in the spirit, why would the gods still allow you to give birth? Because those souls are assigned to you, whether you run or not, but it is for you. So now we are just purifying that energy, rebalance, so that it does not affect with your daily or your waking life, so that you don't get stuck. Because what happens is that you get stuck in a limbo, right? It's like a pause, you're rendering. There's a rendering that's happening. So to avoid pending, the energy is not loading. There's a pending situation that is happening, and then now we need to install a new software to be like, okay, hi baby, this happened, but we are cleansing so that we make new way for you. Don't use that route. That route didn't work, and also miscarriages. There's many reasons around them. Abortions, there's many reasons around them. And stillborns, there's many reasons around them. So it's important to understand the root of the problem or the root of the situation before we can just loosely throw words around. But I hope I sort of answered you.
I think you answered me, and it sounds so glamorous, but put me into practicality. What am I doing, mangfika endumbeni yakho, and I've experienced the abortions that I've experienced. What are you going to do to me, and how much am I going to be paying?
Okay, so if uza endumbeni, that's most of my clientele, because I too am a ex-abortionist, or whatever we choose to call it. I have had abortions, and it's not a secret. I once shared it on a public platform. Yes, I once shared it on a public platform. I think it made my healing journey a bit more easier because I know how to assist and help you.
Okay.
Remember when it goes back to being like, when you are going through something in your waking life, it's for you to prepare you for your healing journey so that you heal better. You can't heal without experience. You can't teach if you don't go to school. Exactly my point. So I always tell my story to my clients first and be like, listen, I did X, Y, and Z, and these were the situations around that, etc., so that you sort of understand that, look, you're not alone. People go through this on a daily, and it's the stigma. You see, when you lifted your eyebrows, like, oh, it's the stigma that has been placed because I did this decision, I made it, and the reasons thereof you don't know. Why would you glorify me being pregnant, multiple men, and I don't know what is going on with my life. But now if I'm avoiding all those things, because it's glamorous for a man to abandon responsibility, but it's norm for a woman to get stuck with unwanted responsibility. Situation happens, life happens. Coming back to the conversation, you come into my ndumba. First things first, I need to consult you. I normally have clients that will be like, Gogo, I know I did an abortion in 2009 and 17 but I normally like to sit down with you so that I get a full reading of what happened with you around the situation. And we get to connect with your ancestors and understand the soul. Right? If it's a reincarnated soul, there's a way you cleanse that person. Right? If it's a new soul, there's a way I assist you. So I will get into a reading with you and get to connect and understand, oh, Gogo, this is the situation. If mhlampe you miscarried, mhlampe if it was something that was made, because kuyenzeka ukuthi umuntu ayenze ukuthi izisu zimphumele. Bantu bayakwenza lokho. So I also need to get to the root of the problem. I believe in getting into the root of the problem before I can actually touch you. So now when we look at that situation, then I get to understand, oh, this is where we're going. I see. Then I am able to say, now this is the type of situation we're going to carry out. Because it's not everybody that we're going to say, oh, let's buy sweets and clothes and all this things that are happening, that's a norm. I treat every client individually because izinto azifani abantu. So normally those cleansings, especially if ulahlekele umntana, in those instances, we start from something like 2.5 and you get help, the things that you need to bring, things that you need to buy, and then we move along with that. So it's a day's work, but post that, I need to now start a follow-up session with you whereby we sit and talk. How are you feeling since you cleansed? How is your emotional, mental state since we cleansed? And are you taking everything that I gave you post the termination? Because there is a post-abortion cleansing kit. I saw somebody was asking me about that. So those things are things I just give to mothers, because some of us go through a backdoor abortions. Some of us don't cleanse inside because things happen to the womb. At the later stage, you end up having batuna cyst, batuna nganti. There are things that were not properly cleaned. So after that, that is the aftercare post the cleansing. So the cleansing is a holistic experience, and it depends on ingulo yomuntu ukuthi siyibeka kanjani ukuthi, oh, this is you, this is me, this is us. But a person is treated with the utmost dignity and respect. And the word stigma does not exist in Duminiam. You'll never come in my Ndumba and be afraid to say, Gogo Nkipi, this is E10. I'll be like, girl, if anything, I'm with you. Did you sort those babies out? Are those energies directed? How's your jig puzzle looking? Let's redirect the energy so that your life can stop being in a buffering mode. Thank you.
I think I haven't gotten into a situation where I do like get myself to, okay, let's go and cleanse because of the stigmas that healers have when it comes to the whole abortion thing. I mean, abanye bathi nginamathuna esiswini, abanye bathi especially, even the healers in the Christian space, it's a demonic experience. There's just so many stigmas that healers have as well. Why are healers not speaking about abortions like yourself? Why are they not speaking about it as a realignment process?
The thing is that, it's hard to... Open-mindedness is a good route to step into. I think that's one of the routes I stepped into when I started my healing work. If I am going to provide a safe space of healing to you, how are you going to be comfortable? Because remember, energy plays a big role in a person's healing. If uzozendumbanyami and I'm going to scare you off, stigmatize you, 80% of the time, you might not even receive the healing fully. We might even go through that cleansing and you might not even receive it because your energy is not in the right place. I have also a huge problem with male healers, particularly. And okay, let's say healers. I can't speak for all healers, but the stigma that is put in terms of cleansing and abortion, to me sometimes sounds as a...
misogyny.
Yeah, and also a way to just blackmail you into going into cleansing.
Oh.
The reason I say this is because if I were to have an open conversation with you like this, you will be able
I will realize.
Yes. But now I'm going to be saying, mawungagezile sasisu impilo yakho yohlakazeka kuyomosheka uzovaleka in automatically uyaphenika yo lo mntwana ngamkhipha 20 awusazi noba sowuza kimi awusakhulumi yonke into gogo mele ngikubu lo mntwana washona nentweni.
Now it's religion because you're instilling the
Exactly.
fear.
We need to draw a line. Spirituality is freedom. Religion is another conversation. But once in your ndumba, you open your mouth and say, Ubulelu muntu. Once in your ndumba, you open and say, yeah, uzofa. Remember, these souls are with this person. Remember, there's a trauma also that comes with a mother going through an abortion or miscarriage. There's a trauma that people suffer. We don't talk about that enough. But I need to treat you from a point of understanding. Fragile. If I'm going to bring up the conversation of abortion, she does not want to remember how she got pregnant or even the person who got her pregnant. But if automatically, it's not a safe space. So in the conversation of abortion cleansings, it is not for everybody. Know your place in the healing body. I
resonate with what you said previously, especially with regards to, having multiple kids if it's stigmatized as well. I honestly feel like that because if I had my child when I was still a teenager and then I would have had another baby daddy, I would have probably had another. Like, if having multiple kids with different fathers is stigmatized as well, then eliminating that sort of multiple kids' stigma. Why is the abortion process still stigmatized? I would have been stigmatized either way, whether I kept the babies or whether I had aborted.
Yeah, why umtholile umntwana? Oh, uzala kangaka. Amadoda angaka. And if you are going to have the abortion, yo Lona, she's a walking graveyard. Amathuna. I mean, people decide. We can't judge people from their experiences. It's 2025, Pindi. Cyril's economy is harsh. I can't expect a child to survive near 450. 450, that's a formula. You know what I mean? And remember, being a mother is also a choice that one has to make, right? And it is a superpower that we carry with us. But if Upindi is not mentally, emotionally, financially stable, how am I going to now parent a child? engimletha la emhlabeni out of the case of ngisaba ukuthi abantu bazothini. You need to make a decision that is good for you, because at the end of the day, people will just hype you to your grave in some cases, and sometimes hype you because they just want you to carry the baby, and then the responsibilities of the baby zibhekana nawe. So there's not enough support system within our communities and our families, and there's not enough support system within the relationships we are in. That is why you find that relationships actually don't work. That is why we have a high number of single parents, because I wish this conversation was broader in terms of men also entering the conversation. Are you ready to have a child? Because some men use the flight or flee response. They flight from the mothers, so it's an open conversation that I think we deserve a part 2 on it. But I think the people in general need to decide, are you going to judge women for everything? Because a woman is just being judged. Should
I be naming my my aborted kids?
Also, it goes back to the cleansing ritual. We need to understand the type of soul, right? You might find that you were assigned probably 2 souls in your living existence and you had 5 abortions, for example. And now these babies keep on interchanging their energies to fighting to come back, so that melu bazale, because their life path is that mele bazalo pindi, whether they like it or not. So it's important to understand the nature of the mother, because some people you find a good to she's a custodian of her family's womb. It's a deep conversation that I will get into another day. And uzale mhlampe a reincarnated soul or something along those lines, or she's gifted, however. And then now we need to understand, this is an old soul. Actually, there's a way we carry out that the situation. But if it's a new soul, there's also a way we carry out that situation. So naming every child for closure, I would say do that. To give you closure as a mother, so that it also dignifies the soul on that end, so that you know that mangithi, Pindi, you had a termination. You're like, no, it was Mpo and Palesa. So now we know, there's 2. Then Masihlola, we only found out that, Pindi, this is one soul that has been just literally fighting to just come back into your life. It's just that they're using different streams into entering into your life. But I always say this, if it's meant to happen, it will happen no matter what. Nobunga puza 10 yamabilis, nobunga yenza whatever 50 abortions, because a woman's body naturally is meant to survive over 15 pregnancies. So we are gods. We are gods within ourselves. So imagine umuntu uyavela ngaphakathi ukwazi ukumanufacture balls inside of you. You are able to manufacture bones inside of you, hair, brain cells inside of you. Look at yourself differently and stop stigmatizing everything. Instead of stigmatizing what you went through, receive the closure to be like, what's up, King? Then I'm not really sure about this situation. It won't work. I need to do this. Can we have this conversation at a later stage, so that even umuntu makangabe uyazala, we know good prior to that, but when my abortion, there's a smaller situation or cleansing or ritual we do to welcome this new soul or this new energy. Because remember, it goes back to that split second that you go and fetch the souls, blah, 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 blah. It's a long conversation, but we now need to, because also abanye bazokuthusa, goes back to healers and stigma. Mawuzalo umntwana after lo abortion uyinja. Already it's making you look at the whole mothering and birthing experience, a traumatic one. Ganti, no, there's ways we help a mother and a child. Like the portal of a mother is a beautiful and one that needs to be explored. And Mina, as a Mpavadimo, the advocate of Ilozi, I don't believe in stigmatizing women, because Dala Mandulu, mainly healers were women. So if we are going to have this chat, let's have it on an open-minded spectrum, because men are quick to point a finger, forgetting that they are also contributors to this high rate of women actually deciding that, you know what, maybe John is not the one for me, or maybe, and sometimes amadlozi ayafana nabazali bethu phindi. You might be in a situation whereby they'd be like, you know what, as much as we love you, we don't want this particular person for you. But if it's your child's life path and their destiny, ukuthi azalwe between wena no Jabu, no matter what, no matter the fire, no matter in, that child will find their way and uzoba khona, because that's how it's meant to be.
Thank you, Gogo. I can't wait to come in Dumeni for a realignment.
Yeah, realignment, because it's also emotionally taxing on me and spiritually taxing. Sometimes when I'm doing these sessions, especially these cleansings, I sometimes take time to go and cry silently in the car, because it's so sad to see the mothers actually having to go through this whole experience as if they were nesinyama, or they are the only ones that contributed to this happening. So I try as much as I can to offer a safe space for mothers, and whether you are a mother to a spirit baby or a living baby, acknowledge yourself, acknowledge your kids, and forgive yourself. I think it's our Black communities. Yeah, man, we need a lot of therapy. CT. Go, abort. No, my chat is this. If it's meant to happen that way, it's going to happen. It's a sensitive topic that needs to be treated with the utmost sensitivity and delicacy.
Thank you, Gogo.
Sizohlangana eDoha. Uyayazi eDoha? Thokoza.